All right, let's talk about this show. Oh my god, I'm amazed. Honestly, I'm very impressed and amazed. We are looking at the first 3 episodes of Ice Queendom in this. We're breaking it down. It's not gonna be. I'm still. This is a bit of a trial run of how I'm gonna start breaking down episodes of RWBY in general in the future. Obviously, hopefully not as long as my previous RWBY breakdowns. We're just going to be talking about the meat and potatoes, the really good stuff, because there are a lot of good stuff. I don't know how YouTube is going to take kindly to my me adding videos. I'm gonna try my best. Maybe I'm gonna have to blur it a little bit. Maybe I'm gonna have to just show pictures. We're gonna see. But yeah, let's talk about this episode. There is plenty to talk about, starting with the similarities between the original version and this version. There are definitely something I like about this is something I realize is this version and the original version, they are two different versions. And expecting this to be exactly like Monty's and, you know, Carrie's and Miles' RWBY is not possible. And like, as you can see here, there are scenes that are different, things that have been cut, things that have been added. There are two different versions, and I don't think it'd be fair to be like, okay, them making this character do this ruins the original versions for me, because I don't think that could be possible, because I recognize that this is like basically two different universes. I know that they said it's like, oh, maybe this is canon, but it's kind of hard to say that this is canon when there have been things that have been cut from this series. So I definitely see this as two different universes, and I mean, like, I'm sorry, there's no way that you can convince me otherwise. So yeah, the things that have been added in this have been very, very well done. Visually speaking, I love the world building. Seeing more of Vale and seeing more of Beacon and seeing more of the Schnee Manor was amazing to see. Vale looks beautiful, and I understand that. I mean, Vale Volume 1 and Volume 2 look basic, very cookie cutter, because that was the resources that they had. But this studio has a lot more, and it looks so unique and so different from all the other places that we've seen in the original version, which is what we need. These kingdoms are different nations, and of course they have different cultures and different architecture, and I'm glad that we got to see that. Like, when I see Vale, I don't think of Mantle or that like harbor town that they went to in Volume 6. Like, I see a completely different area, and I love that so much. Beacon, we get to see a lot more of it, and it looks so good. I think in the reaction, I do comment like, oh wow, this place is really big. And like, it's shown here, like, this looks like a high class school for like huntsmen. I'm really impressed with the visuals. And also the Schnee Manor too, getting to see it in the morning and getting to see so much more of it. It looks so beautiful. They did such a really good job with the background and with the world that they're in. I really like that a lot, as well as the characters too. The characters look really nice. I really enjoyed them. I especially like it when the shading comes on and we get to, like, in the big fights, like the Nevermore fight and also the RWBY versus Grunt fight, the shaders got turned on and you could see just how, oh my god, it was so beautiful. The lighting and the shading, when they put them on, it looks really good. And even when it's not on, the fights look really impressive. I love the movement, and yes, it doesn't really look like Monty's vision, because like the camera is very different, the movements are different as well, but like I said, they don't have to be exactly the same. I really enjoyed that RWBY fight that we got at the beginning, and I really enjoyed the Nevermore fight too. There were differences for sure, and there were some things that I enjoyed in the original version a lot more. Like, I liked how for a little bit Blake and Ren fought together in the original version, and then after that they got separated. Like, it felt very natural, because it's like, okay, this isn't the team right away. Like, you know, Ruby's team is over here, Blake is over here, so they're not there yet, but they're getting there. And then like they eventually, like, you know, naturally mesh together. You know, John and Nora go with their team, Blake goes with her team, and then that's where Team RWBY and Team Juniper are born. There are also other things like, you know, Nora writing an Ursa, which they say that she wrote it in Ice Queendom, but I'm not sure that she did. It didn't look like it. And then also Nora, like, you know, jumping or getting tossed into the air or launched into the air, and then after that landing on the Grim. I like that a lot more than what they did here. But still, there were some things that I liked here too. Like that fight, the Nevermore fight, The big anime finale looked amazing, and yes, better than the original version. Not to say that the original version is bad, because I enjoyed that fight completely. Like, that was my favorite fight of the series to date. But I still recognize in my head, okay, in my opinion, this Nevermore finale, that fight, the ending where she, like, you know, drags the head up the mountain, I enjoyed that a lot more here. It was just so like, the detail, you know, it's just the movement of it. The animation was just, in my opinion, a lot better 2D. Even though I like the Nora getting launched into the air and then jumping and then landing back down on the Nevermore more than what they showed in the newer version, I still liked how Nora hit Pyrrha's spear and it went right through the Grim. It was just, that was really really vicious, and I liked that a lot. The Grim were really good. The way that they disappear was really nice. Like, they kind of explode in a way. They come out whoosh, whoosh. I thought that was really nice. I thought that the detail in these Grim also looked really good. The fights were also good too. Like, the movements, obviously, like, the movements in Volume 1 and Volume 2 for a lot of the Grim were pretty stiff. Here they're a lot more fluid, and I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that. I can go on and on about the visuals and stuff and how good they looked, but let's go back to the characters. Getting to meet Klein again, and getting to see Whitley, and getting a good sense of Weiss's family before she leaves for Beacon really does help. And, like, you know, getting that background, I think, is a nice difference, because of course, the original, we don't get to really see that until we get a little taste of it in the Beacon arc, but we get to really see that in the Volume 4. Here we get to see why Weiss is the way that she is, and get to understand where her environment, you know, why she's like this because of her environment. And you can really see that bubble that she's in. You know, she's saying things that her father would say, and she doesn't even really like her father. So it's like getting to, and, you know, we get to see that at the end. She's like, none of this is the way that it should be. And it's like, yeah, you're finally out of your bubble, and you're seeing that the world isn't exactly how you thought it would be, are you? Like, it was done, I think it was done very, very well. Still, I will admit that her, you know, saying, like, I don't really care, maybe it's the line I don't like, but, like, it just still feels kind of jarring to me. I think it's the line. I think I just don't like the line where she was just like, I don't care. Like, I think it's the line itself. But getting that talk with Yang, I thought was very, very, very good. A very good add-on. Very good for Yang's character, and very good for Weiss's as well. It feels less, you know, jumping the gun. It feels less awkward. And once again, for Yang, she's given more things to do, more of a character, and I like that a lot. And calling Weiss out on her bigotry, top tier stuff. I love that a lot too. Blake also was very much on her journey, a little bit more in the background, which is fine because it wasn't really that focused on in this show itself. But her trying to get a new start and stuff, like, and I liked how when she admitted that she was a faunus, you could kind of feel how that whole talk about, like, trying to get a new life and all that stuff kind of shattered around her, and I like that a lot. Like, that background was needed, because when we got to the part where she was like, maybe we were just tired of getting pushed around, and her admitting that she was a White Fang member and a faunus, and that she was like, oh great, well, so much for that new life that I wanted. It's a shame that she has to hide being a faunus to get that new life, but I mean, obviously Weiss would have been upset just because she was a faunus, not even because she was a member of the White Fang. There were also other stuff too, like Ty getting to talk to Oz. I thought that was really, really nice. The mention of Team Stark was also really, really nice. But yeah, I think that's all, like, when it comes to, like, comparing the two, of the original and this updated version. Like I said, I think that this is a new version. There are things that they took away that I honestly about, and then there are things that they added which I love. I like the inclusion. I honestly like the inclusion of the John arc, because it wasn't like, you know, heavily put into the series. They were able to focus on John while also focusing on the main characters, which is important, which is what I didn't like about John's arc. They completely sidelined Team RWBY for Jean, and I didn't like that. But here, you know, Weiss is still getting development, and Ruby, they're still focusing on Ruby and Weiss while also focusing on John and his team. And of course, we had more time to do that. It wasn't like 5 minutes per episode, I understand that. But that was the problem that I had with John's arc. It was the fact that John was giving all this spotlight. Team Ruby, meanwhile, is completely off in the sidelines. Also, what I didn't like about Volume 7 with Nora and Ren, they're getting all this development, meanwhile, while most of Team Ruby is getting no development at all. So, like, this format I enjoyed a lot more. I'm okay with side characters getting, you know, development, but you can't completely forget about your actual main team, you know? So yeah, I definitely do like how they were able to balance John and Ruby here. But that is when we sideline and we start getting into the Ice Queendom stuff. So we get introduced to a new character, which is when things start to get a little bit weird. Cheyenne Zaiden, I think her name is, or how you pronounce it. Really cool design, really cool weapon slash, I guess, tool. Like when I see her briefcase, I can't really see it as a weapon, more of like a working tool. Like it was a really cool design, and I liked how, like, you know, it's just so intricate. And her staff as well, like I see her using that in an actual fight while at the same time using it for her, like, you know, spells and stuff. This definitely does feel a lot more witchcrafty. Even she looks a lot more wizardry than, like, you know, other characters. And I know magic isn't really known in Remnant, but like she definitely feels very magical. And I imagine we're going to be getting more into her semblance later on and getting to know why she's able to do what she does. But for now, it really does look like magic. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she goes, like, if she pretends like it's a semblance, but it really is magic. That would be interesting. And maybe that's the case. She's like in hiding and she has magic, but she's hiding it. And she's pretending that it's a semblance. Similar to like One For All and what Midoriya does in My Hero Academia, where he has like All Might's power, but he has to hide that, so he just goes like, oh yeah, it's a simple strength quirk. That would open up the question of how she has magic, and if she's from the old world, and if she's related to Ozpin or Salem, but I'm sure we'll get into that later on. I'll be interested to see more of her. Of course, we're definitely going to be seeing more of her now that some stuff is happening to Weiss. But we are definitely seeing some Ice Queendom stuff, which I'm happy for. I thought we would have to wait until after we gone over Volume 1 and after we gone over Volume 2 to finally get into some Ice Queendom stuff. But we are starting heavily. We are, not even a little bit, but like we're heavily starting to get stuff from Ice Queendom in the first episode. We see John getting possessed or whatever by this Nightmare Grim and entering his dreams and seemingly feasting on his aura and his like fears, like, or at least strengthening itself with his fears in order to get more of his aura. Luckily, his aura isn't really that developed, so we're good. It wasn't that big of a deal, and it actually can get a lot worse. But even with that little aura that he has, it still looked very creepy and very threatening. Just the way that it was feeding on John's insecurities was very, very interesting. And I like that callback, or that call to his sister or his sisters, and asking for their help. It makes you wonder, like, maybe he used to do that in the past. Like, he would get hurt, and then after that he would call to his sisters, his older sisters, in order to help him. Something else that I liked was his team coming in to save him. For a second I thought Team RWBY and Team Juniper was gonna go and save him. I was gonna be like, in this version, John barely knows Team RWBY. Why would he go? Why would any of them like be able to help them? But no, it was his team, which I like a lot. I liked how his team got to shine and save him a lot. I just really like that whole scene there. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more detailed when Weiss, they enter Weiss's dream. I imagine that that's when we're going to see like the clothes change and stuff like that, and we're going to be into that. I'm guessing Atlas, because everybody's in winter clothing. So that's going to be really interesting. Weiss is already taken over. She's already possessed, and she's cracking little by little. In fact, by the end of the episode, she is seemingly fully taken over, and now it's Team RWBY's turn to save Weiss. That is a little bit confusing because they have said, I've heard that Volume 2 is also going to be covered in this series, but it looks like Weiss is already being taken over by the Nightmare Grim, so it looks like we're already going to enter her dream. I don't know if maybe she's going to wake up and she's going to think, okay, that whole thing was just a dream, and she's going to move on. And then after that, they're going to cover Volume 2 stuff. Or if, you know, she's already possessed, she's in a coma, Team RWBY has to go and save her. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but I'm excited to see that that artwork at the end with her being entangled by the Nightmare Grim was very, very cool. And her, like, you know, right in front of her doppelganger was also really cool to see. I really liked this episode and enjoyed it a lot. So much detail in the world, so much detail in the fight scenes, the shading, the lighting. It was all really good. The characters, while a little bit different, were still very enjoyable. The new character, it was very nice to meet her. Hopefully we get to see more of her. Hopefully we get to see her in a fight. Hopefully we get to see like Ozpin and Glinda in a fight. That'd be really, really cool. But yeah, I had a lot of fun and I really enjoyed this episode. And I can't wait to see more. They've done Rooster Teeth has left their baby in the hands of the studio, and they've done such a good job. Not only adapting what has already been made, but also at their own story as well. I'm very interested in this Nightmare. I'm very interested in Weiss's story, because in this version, Weiss is pretending to be okay with everything. Like, she's pretending to be that good teammate that everybody wants, and that lie is going to eat her up inside. And which is a good thing, because if it didn't, you know, if this didn't happen and she continued pretending, the team wouldn't be as good as it is in the original version, because there isn't that synergy. So I liked Weiss getting called out by Yang and Blake. I liked meeting Penny and Sun. All those things really, really good. It was a really great treat for fans of RWBY. If you haven't even watched RWBY yet, if you haven't watched RWBY before, I won't say that you need to watch it to watch this series, but I highly recommend it, because they are so different, and there are negatives and positives in both series. Like, and once again, I like that a lot, because you don't have to ignore the original version and just watch this. Honestly, I would recommend watching both. So yeah, that was my breakdown for episode 1, or episode 1 through 3. I'm excited for either this Sunday or next Sunday when we're going to be getting the next episode. Hope you guys subscribe so you guys know when my next breakdown is, and my reaction as well. I'm not sure if we're allowed to upload the reaction to this episode yet, or if it's going to be like original RWBY where we have to wait a week before we can upload it. I'm going to have to wait and see. It all depends on whether or not non-members can watch RWBY or not. Like, if they can watch RWBY Ice Queendom at the same time as us. If it's following Crunchyroll rules, I'm pretty sure you have to have like premium Crunchyroll in order to watch this episode. So I think they are going to have to wait a week. But, you know, we have to wait and see. The breakdowns will be coming out as soon as possible, though. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, bye.